Hey guys, it's Scott here from ZOMGPlay, and today we're doing a gameplay demonstration of Titan Attacks for the Nintendo 3DS, which is now available. So Titan Attacks for the 3DS has been ported by Curve Digital, and it's an old school retro inspired Space Invaders type game whereby you have to destroy the aliens and rack up a high score. So to start off with, we have the help menu whereby it lists all the controls. We have the options menu which sees the volume and SFX volumes adjusted, obviously. And then we have the leaderboard or high scores, where upon dying in the game, your high score of that particular game will be uploaded to the internet for everyone else to see. And finally we have the credits, whereby everyone that was involved with the production of the game is listed out. Now before you actually start a game, if you've played Titan Attacks on the 3DS before, it'll pop up with a menu saying would you like to resume your game, and if you manage to get to one of the further worlds in the game, then it'll bring up the option of allowing you to pick one of those worlds. But if you've never played Titan Attacks on the 3DS before, or you're starting a brand new game on the 3DS, then none of that will appear until you actually get further into the game. Once you get into the game, as you can see here, it's pretty straightforward and simple and very reminiscent of the original Space Invaders type game, whereby you simply just have to use the D-pad or the analog stick if you prefer, as well as the A button to shoot down the actual alien spaceships that are coming towards you. And as you may notice on the bottom of the screen, we have different options listing cash and points. Cash is earned by killing alien spaceships, and once enough cash has been earned, you can then use it to buy additional upgrades for your tank, such as additional firepower, more bombs which will destroy everything on the screen, additional health bars, because obviously if you lose all your health, that's it, game over, no retries, no restarts. So the whole point of Titan Attacks is to achieve the highest score and then share it online via the online leaderboards. And in order to get a really good score, you'll need to kit out your tank with all the upgrades that I mentioned earlier, as this makes progressing through the game a lot easier. But more importantly, it's also about obtaining the highest multiplier score, which a multiplier score, which is seen at the top left of the bottom screen, is achieved by not getting hit in each level. So each level you play, if you avoid being hit or run over by one of the aliens if they drop down towards the bottom end of the screen, you'll keep your multiplier high, and each time you move on a level, that multiplier will increase by 1. But as soon as you get hit by an alien or by one of their lasers or missiles or vice versa, that multiplier resets back to 0. Now, unlike your traditional Space Invaders themed game, Titan Attacks features quite a lot of variety. For instance, there's lots of different types of enemies that you'll encounter, such as the traditional Space Invaders type alien, but there's also the flying saucer that flies across the top of the screen, which once hit yields bonus points and rewards. But there's also brand new enemies such as massive giant turrets that shoot down, aliens that zigzag across the screen, and other aliens that drop down from the sky and try to crush you. But interestingly enough, on the 20th level there's also a boss fight whereby you must survive an onslaught of attacks that seem very reminiscent and familiar to the R-Type or those Japanese top-down shooters that everyone seems to enjoy. So there's quite a bit of variety to be had in this what appears to be a rather simplistic Space Invaders themed game. So speaking of levels and boss fights, Titan Attack features near enough 100 different levels, each of which are spread into 5 different locations. So in total you'll have 20 levels per location, with the first location, which is what I'm playing now, set on Earth, and then the second location, which is levels 21 to 40, set on the Moon. And then the further you progress, the further you get into outer space. But unfortunately, we still yet to progress that far in this particular video. And like I mentioned before, once you get to every 20th level, it will be a boss fight. And as you'd expect, the further you get into the game, the more difficult and challenging the actual boss fight will become, but hopefully by then you'll have your tank kitted out with all sorts of different equipment to make the fight a lot easier. In addition to all of this, there is also various challenge modes spread out across the entire game. Usually around the every 5th or 6th level, there is an option to take part in a challenge which sees the tank shoot down virtual aliens, and the more you shoot down, the bigger bonus score you get, and if you achieve over 70% hit ratio, you'll then unlock a reward, such as an extra bomb for use or an additional health bar. So those are just some of the things that you can expect from Titan Attacks, and it's a pretty interesting game. It's very reminiscent of the original Space Invaders title, but beefed up with new rules and gameplay mechanics, such as one of the new rules is when you hit a enemy spaceship, it might not automatically blow up, it might fall to the sky, and then jumping out of that alien spaceship will be the alien itself. And yet again, if you capture the alien, you'll be able to get some rewards, but if you miss it, then you'll have points deducted. So it's quite an alternate and interesting take on the game, but unfortunately this 3DS version does come with a few annoying little niggles. The first of which is that it doesn't feature any 3D support, so even with the 3D option set to on, you won't actually be able to use it, it just reverts back to 2D, which is a bit annoying really, as I really was looking forward to seeing how it would look in 3D. And another little disappointment that I found with this 3DS version of Titan Attacks is that while you can use the D-pad and the A button to control the actual gameplay of the game, all of the menu interaction, such as the main menu and the pause menu, is done via the touchscreen, and using any of the buttons on the device, such as the analog stick or the D-pad or the A or B button, does nothing. It does not work whatsoever. So for example, if you press pause on the pause button, the pause menu will come up, but in order to actually exit the pause menu, you'll then have to press the unpause button on the touchscreen as opposed to pressing the pause button. It's not really a big issue per se, but I prefer to use the analog and D-pad buttons as opposed to the touchscreen, especially while travelling around. But it's also a bit weird why the menu has to be controlled via the touchscreen when the PS Vita version of the game allows you to use either the touchscreen or the buttons on the device itself. So pretty weird choice by Curve Digital there. So that's what you can expect from Titan Attacks, which is now available to download for the Nintendo eShop for the Nintendo 3DS family of consoles. And overall, it's a pretty interesting game that's very reminiscent of the old school arcade elements, whereby you're playing to win and complete the game. But for those of you who don't really like arcade experience, whereby you're just playing the game for the objective of obtaining a high score, then the value may be short-lived, but it's something different, it's quick and easy to access, and if need be, you can actually save the game and resume it at a later date. But with over 100 levels in the game, there's lots of variety to be had and lots of different challenges to be seen.